Imagine living in a wildfire-prone state like California, paying your insurance faithfully for decades, and then finding out that your policy has been canceled just days or weeks before disaster strikes. That's exactly what's been happening. Families are being left stranded. The federal government is offering, hold your applause, a mere $770 per person. Well, at least they're getting $20 more than the people in North Carolina were during Hurricane Helene. So just be grateful, people. $770 per person in aid. And even the Matter co-founder Patrice Coolers are not immune to the fallout. Oh my gosh, that's a crazy. Buckle up, guys. When we talk about the Black Lives Matter founder and what's happened to her through this, it's an interesting, poetic. It's a very poetic situation that happened. Is this corporate greed, government failure, or a broken system altogether? Let's break it down. Let's play this clip from the PBD discussion about these insurance companies.
Watch this. My pastor, who married my wife and I, he runs a church, 20,000 members. You met him. We went to Universal Studios with him. Dudley. Love him. Everybody who knows him loves him, right? I'm checking on him and his family to make sure everything is right. And he says, for 38 years, he's been paying homeowners insurance, always on time. This is a responsible man, a solid guy, family guy, great guy. One of the top 5 men that has influenced my life directly, okay? And he says, just last week, this is before the fires, I got a notice last week that they are dropping my coverage, okay? That they're dropping my coverage last week. Now, I'm not going to give the insurance companies names. All I'm telling you is, there's a lot of names, State Farm, Farmers, Liberty. There's a bunch of them that you can go through that are out there that are dropping it. Allstate, it's all over the place, right? That this is a real story that's going on. Okay. The question he asks, which is the question, we ask on the video, is here's the following. He says, he's not worried about himself. He says, but what happens if after you are in your home and the rates get so high, you can't afford it anymore? Does the loan company call the loan? Do they repossess your house? State Farm stopped writing new policies for house insurance altogether in California a few years ago. And that's a few years ago. And now California's politicians are forcing insurance companies to insure houses in areas that are high risk. And insurance companies are saying, no, why would I do it? I'm leaving your state. So here's where the problem is going to lie. So imagine.
Let's play this next clip because this is like, you think that's crazy and that's maddening and makes you ask all these questions. How do all of these insurance companies know? How did they seem to know what was going to happen? Is this coordinated? Is this man-made? Are all these people prophetic? Is there like a giant State Farm crystal ball that everybody's looking into and they saw what was happening? But to add insult to injury, look at what the federal government did in response to this. So, Nick, if you could play this clip about what Biden and his administration is doing to help these poor people. Check it out.
It includes things like propane tanks, electric vehicles, battery walls. Then the monumental task of removing the rest of that debris can begin. It's a monumental task. And I've activated 500 Marines from the base in Pendleton to stand by to help in search and rescue, airlift support, and food and water distribution. And I want to be clear, we're not waiting until those fires are over to start helping the victims. We're getting them help right now, as you all know. People impacted by these fires are going to receive one-time payment of $770, one-time payment, so they can quickly purchase things like water, baby formula, and prescriptions. So far, nearly 6,000 survivors have registered to do just that.
All right. One-time payment of $770. You know what's really crazy about this? I don't know if we have any info, but I thought I saw in the midst of this some stuff going around about how the U.S. has been donating firefighting supplies to Ukraine, which is like, I got nothing against Ukraine, but I just think it's so wild how when these disasters are striking, like in Hurricane Helene, when we gave millions of dollars right after Hurricane Helene hit, millions of dollars to Lebanon. Before that, we gave millions of dollars to Ukraine. And then the FEMA had only $750 to give to each person in North Carolina. And here we are with these massive wildfires, $770 to Americans to help them throughout all this stuff. Anderson, do you have any more context to add or thoughts to build upon this?
Well, I find it funny. I'm a Marine, right? I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and he's saying that he's going to activate 500 Marines. It's perhaps a different
500,
video
by the way.
that we
Okay,
can
I'm
do.
glad you said that because I couldn't really hear that.
500
500
Marines
Marines.
from Pendleton. He couldn't even pronounce Pendleton, but
What did he say?
that's
How do you
no
pronounce it?
Pendleton.
Oh, jeez.
Something like that. But I'll break this down for you guys in 4 different sections. So number 1 is the unfortunate incident for this pastor that his insurance got canceled right before essentially the fires happened. This is not just him, but there's a bunch of people in California that have lost everything, and now you're going to give them $750 and $770 while we're doing how many billions to Ukraine? So let me break this down. One is if you've been paying your insurance for 38 years, and all this, 38 years. That's more than what your breakdown for your mortgage is normally 30 years or less. So this individual has been there for almost 40 years, almost 4 decades. The insurance now is canceled, and he's going to lose everything. He's not going to be able to pay it. There's some other reports that I find extremely aggravating. In California, and some of you guys in the chat can probably attest to this. If you're in part of California, let us know. But even to put a fence, the restrictions are so massive that it'll take you 2 years just to put a fence on your own home. Imagine trying to rebuild. It'll be a complete nightmare. Even if you get the payments from the insurance company, it's going to take so long for you to be able to go back and rebuild your home. Most likely you're going to move out. So I live in Utah. Utah, get ready. We're going to get a bunch of Californians. Texas and Florida, we're going to get a bunch. So all I'm saying to you guys is be aware of the mainstream insurance companies, because some of those guys may cancel. Maybe they know something that we don't. But there is something, I think, demonic in this particular story. The other one that I want to provide is again, corporate decision insurance companies abandoning high risk areas. So some areas were canceled based on individuals. There are some other insurances that cancel the entire area. So all the houses within that area that got hit by the fires, completely gone. No insurance for any of those areas. So those areas are now going to be devastated. And who sweeps in? Probably VC capital or venture capital. They buy the real estate. They now build some other communities. So I think, and I don't want to speculate too much, but I think that there are some other hidden agendas in here. Palisades, which was one of the affected areas, 69% of policies were non-renewed due to brush risk. So to break this down, and Trump said in a previous video as well, you're spending $24 billion in the homeless crisis, and you're spending zero or very little to brush a cleanup. That's what causes the fire to propagate a lot faster. They're not being attended to. Then the fires happen. When they happen, then they spread out. So that's a major issue in California. The other one is that the insurance cannot be profitable in the area. And as you guys know, and for those of you who run a business, if you're not profitable in that particular venture, in that particular service, or in that particular product, you completely remove it. That's what's happening with a lot of these insurance companies. Is unfortunately, I know I want to be aware of the pain points. We want to be obviously on the side of the community. But if an insurance company is operating at a loss in California, if I'm the owner of that particular insurance, or if I'm part of the board member, I'm gonna request, or I'm gonna say, yeah, we need to pull out. So I don't blame him. Here's the other thing about this particular issue with California that I think we're gonna continue to see more, Cap. The $770 aid and FEMA assistance, it's a complete slap in the face. We're looking at around 1,800 National Guard troops being deployed. There are a bunch of FEMA efforts. $750 is just not enough. A lot of these people have to, I mean, if you think
It's
about it,
770. Let's give them credit.
770,
It's
my apologies.
770.
So $20 more for the formula, as he said in the video, is like $770 to pay for water and formula. But I find it clever that and if you can put, Nick, the article that we found on the BLM CEO or founder, I see it in both ways. Either she knew this was going to happen, so kind of we pushed it, or they pushed it for her to lose her home and now get some insurance company. We'll see if her insurance was denied. If it wasn't, hopefully again, you reap what you sow. But and if you have that, Nick, to where we can pull it up, where we see the article or at least the image,
I don't know if
where
he has the photo. He says in the chat he doesn't have the photo. If you pull it up, just pull it up whenever you want
got
to.
it.
But basically, let me see. I think I might have texted you it too. Let me see if I got here.
Well, either way, it's pretty crazy to see that this individual has 3 mansions, $6 million mansions. Two of them got caught in the fire and she lost them. And this is the individual that was saying back in 2020, where some of the fires and some of the riots were happening, she also said it's just property damage. Insurance will pay for it. So we'll see if she actually gets compensated. I think that we're going to hear a lot more about the wildfires and some of the other speculations on Newsom and whether or not this was on purpose. But it's unfortunately what's happening. These are just three of the little topics of discussion of that major topic of discussion that perhaps, Cab, you probably want to do an entire episode on
Yeah.
describing some of the wild things that are happening with California. But we pray for all of you, and hopefully you guys are safe.
Hey, if you enjoyed this clip and you want to see another one like it, you can click the video over here. And if you want to watch a full episode of the Kap Chatfield Show, you can click this one right here.